Hi everyone, Pete Liciaga here with Professor Pete, my friend and my coach and my professor teaching me on jiu-jitsu. I decided to take some time, get together with Professor Pete to share with you. A long time ago I was told that you don't know what you don't know, and I realized this when I started learning jiu-jitsu. It was a big epiphany for me. This idea of distance and levels, something for you guys to consider. First line of defense, I will always say, is awareness. If you're going to master anything, master the ability to be aware. Let's talk about distance and levels. Distance, and I know as stand-up, because you've done stand-up martial arts. I mean, you've done, what's some of your background? Because I know you're black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Black belt in Kempo karate. I've done some Filipino stick work. I've done a lot of Muay Thai. I fought MMA. So, I've boxed. I've done pretty much everything.
Right, so you know distance.
Yeah.
And controlling of the distance. What would you say would be distance as far as consideration?
So, I think the best way I've ever heard it explained, and this comes right from, Henry Gracie out in California, is different zones. So even if you have no martial arts training, is just understanding where you're safe and where you're really in danger. So, we talk about a green zone, a red zone, and then the cool thing about grappling is you have another green zone. For example, if I was standing right in front of somebody like this close, even if you've never fought before, you understand that you're close enough to be struck. All right, or grit. So this would definitely be the red zone. So anything outside of that, standing backwards, that would be a green zone, a little bit further than what we're at right now. All right, and then again, the second green zone would be in closer, where we call the clinch, where he can't strike me, like he was right here. So, green, red, and green. That's a really basic approach to stand-up zones.
One of the things that I was considering over the last several weeks is this idea, okay, I'm a kicker, I'm a striker with my hands, and I also understand the stand-up, like closing the gap, closing the distance. And if I can't avoid a situation, I need to right away think about what are my tools, what are my skill sets, and how do I implement that, what are my strategies. Yeah. So the consideration is this, so if I cannot run, and then the gap is closing, then I have my kicking. Yeah. My kicking zone, my kicking distance. If they come closer, then I have my hand strikes. Mm-hmm. Then when they get closer, then I have my elbows and my knees, yes, for the most part. Yeah. And then closer than that is a stand-up. Mm-hmm. Stand-up. And all of a sudden now you're controlling the levels, where you maybe end up on your knee or right down to the ground. Right. That was my aha moment, my epiphany, was when I got down on the ground as a fourth degree master in stand-up. I became aware how much I did not know, and I did not know that.
Again, you try to simplify things as much as you can, not to oversimplify, but really fighting, self-defense, all it is controlling distance. That's really all it is. Even at the highest level in the UFC, something that everybody has seen before, the better fighters are the ones that are controlling the distance, moving in, moving out, getting close when they want to, separating when they want to. And on the ground, one of the things that we really try to talk about is always trying to keep your opponent close to you, closing that distance where they can't really strike, where size and strength and aggression really gets nullified, at least minimized, or understanding, like you're talking about, recognizing what's going on, if you cannot control that distance, to make, space. So it's understanding what's going on.
And I think that's a great consideration for everyone that's looking to really just improve their intelligence in self-defense and awareness, especially martial arts out there that are teaching self-defense. And just because you know kicks and punches, I don't believe you necessarily know about self-defense. Right. You really have to understand protection, crime prevention, and also creating safe environments, not only physically but emotionally and psychologically. But I think it's important to consider your distance and your ability to understand distance and what's your training in controlling of that distance and those levels, from inside standing grappling to going down to the ground and then controlling distance in the ground. Absolutely. And which is one of the things that I've learned a lot over the last several weeks, framing with the elbows and the knees down on the ground. Mm-hmm. And I love it when you talk about your feet become like the horns of a bull, yeah, and your feet, then there's, again, on the ground, the distance controlling is the feet, the knees, the elbows, and then you're inside.
Right. But depending on the situation is what we're talking about.
Right.
So you're talking about framing and keeping space, but when somebody does get past all those different levels that Peter's talking about, is understanding that it's time then to clinch.
Right.
So, it's all about distance. Right. I like the idea of the levels, and, you're spot on.
So the idea is this: consider distance, levels, and then ask yourself, where's my comfort, where's my level of understanding, and where's my strategy and my practice of that strategy. And it's an ongoing thing. So that's why I train every day. I know you train every day, yes. Whether I'm physically training or mentally training, hopefully both, ideally both. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Professor Pete, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. Guys, any questions, please send it to us. I'll give you some information to get a hold of Professor Pete. Take care. Cheers.
Thanks, Mark.
Appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.